Good morning, everyone. My name is Sneha Mukherjee, and the topic of my today's presentation is Contribution of Educational Regulatory Bodies in the Context of NEP 2020. In the first slide, there is introduction of what an educational regulatory body is. It is an government organization which monitors and keeps on check the other educational institutions of the country. It has few functions like to ensure quality and uniformity. As we know, India is a vast country and there are various educational institutions all over the place. So it is important that there is a regulatory body which monitors that equally good quality of education is provided in all of the educational institutions. Moving on, it grants recognition and approval. As we know that not every college is fit to be affiliated. So this regulatory bodies monitors the work of each and every universities and educational institutions. Then they affiliate them with recognitions, and it helps students to get their degree from a genuine college or university. It also monitors compliance. It is important that the works and the kind of actions that are taking place in this educational institutions are to be monitored, which is done by this educational regulatory bodies through audits and various other ways. Moving on, it promotes accountability. It also uh, shows how educational institutions should be responsible for their own action and cannot pass their blame onto other institutions or resources or people. It also supports improvement. As with changing times, it is very important that the education system is kept on updating. So this regulatory bodies keep that in mind and help in the progress of the universities and other educational institutions. Oversees and controls institutions, as mentioned through all these points, that it is important to control these institutions and to see how their working is running smoothly. It also frames rules and policies and standards, as this educational institutions cannot function without proper guidelines. It is very important that the educational regulatory body frames rules, policies and standards so that there is no chaos and everything runs in order. The next slide talks about the various regulatory bodies. First, we have UGC, which regulates and funds universities while maintaining the standards in higher education. Next, we have AICTE, which looks after the various professional degree colleges like that of engineering, MBA, etc. NCTE particularly looks after the B.Ed and DLED program colleges and do not let them be forgotten in isolation. We have NCRT, which develops curriculum and textbooks. These textbooks are followed by the CBSE schools. Moving on to the next one, that is CBSE, which conducts and manages affiliated schools at the secondary level. They conduct 10 and 12 examinations and give affiliations to various schools. NAT, it helps in the monitoring and proper the acts as a proper checkpoints for colleges, and that keeps the quality of education in particular institutions like colleges and universities at their peak and utmost goodness. NTA, it conducts national level entrance examinations with transparency, as it is important that for every competitive exam, equal opportunity is given to all, and NTA provides us that platform. Then we have some of the proposals given by National Education Policy 2020. First, it's a complete overhaul of the higher education regulatory system. It also establishes HECI, which makes UGC a different body and passes on the financial part of UGC to HECI, so there is no overlapping and confusion. Similarly, it talks about keeping four pillars like regulations, accreditations, funding, and academic standards, so that here also there is no chaos is maintained and these four pillars are looked after separately. It also adopts the principle of light but tight regulations because the regulations are easy to follow, but they are to be followed very strictly without any chaos or without any problem created by the others. Phasing out of overlapping rules, as we know, the rules of all the regulatory bodies can sometimes collide. It is important that those guidelines or those rules are to be separated, and each of the regulatory bodies has their own functions and areas to look after on. And it promotions of institutions autonomy with accountability. This is the continuation of the previous slide. There is an expansion of NAC credit system which promotes healthy competition between various universities. There is an introduction of transparent public disclosure so that there is no unfair means conducted. Creation of a national higher education regulatory council helps in the monitoring in a more better way. There is a strengthening of teacher education which promotes quality education among teachers and their training so that they are fit for their jobs and they can educate the upcoming generations better. There is encouragement of multidisciplinary and holistic education as one subject is always related to another and students cannot just rely upon memory or rote learning. They need practical knowledges and this helps in doing so. There is a performance based and transparent funding so that it helps in the smooth running of the universities and emphasis on technology driven and online regulatory processes. As we know during this modern times how everything has shifted to the online and AI mode, so the regulatory bodies also are trying to keep up with this trend and it will help in the progress of the educational institutions. In the next slide, we talk about the contribution of regulatory bodies. For example, UGC proposed HECI framework, which is shifting its financial role and it is creating a less of a burden on UGC. AICTE talks about technical education and its fragmented regulations, professional educations, supports multidisciplinary institution structures. NCTE, it strengthens teachers' educations and keeps them up to date, well trained so that they can properly teach the upcoming generations. Develops NCRT develops new curriculum. It also supports and implements national curriculum framework and follows the NEP vision. CBSE too follows the NEP guidelines and supports holistic progress. The NAC expands and strengthens the credit system, forms the basis of NAC under HECI, and it promotes quality improvement. NTA conducts transparent and entrance exams which are to be given by all and an equality is maintained in these exams for everyone. In conclusion, I would like to say that this educational regulatory bodies plays a very important role in maintaining the decorum and rules and regulations of all the education institutions. Without them, there would not be a smooth running of these educational institutions and it is very important that we respect and abide by the rules and regulations provided by NEP and it also helps the educational institutions to maintain their standards and improve their quality of educations. Thank you.